Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Kraus.
Hello, Mr. Flynn. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing okay. I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm so glad you're doing okay. I wish I could go to sleep and wake up about a month from now.
Oh, why? Is something going to happen in a month, or do you just need a month-long Odin sleep?
I fell behind my sleep schedule back in 4th grade and never caught up, so I'm always tired. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always tired.
It's also my secret. Wow. We're me and you, we are one and the same. You've never seen us in the same room together, so, we could be the same person.
Indeed, indeed. We certainly can't talk over each other. That's just mastery of the sound waves.
Wow.
Trickery to make you think that there's really two of us.
But there's only one.
Yes.
There's only one amalgamation. And one has voice cracking issues. One has voice cracking issues at 35. Cool.
We also have another issue that we have to address.
Oh, yes. Go.
We have lots of questions, and they need answers.
Yes. We have many issues. You have released many issues. You have tons. But I don't know. Maybe tell us how. Go over the rules and stuff.
If you want your question answered on the show, email us at BumbleKast. Tweet to us at BumbleKast on Twitter. Comment on any of the YouTube videos. If you're a patron, please put it in the Q&A channel over on the Discord. If you want your question answered sooner rather than later, become a $5 patron over at patreon.com/BumbleKast or send us one coffee at coffee.com/BumbleKast. Just as a quick reminder, I don't know at what point they did it, but they changed coffee so that you can set what your coffee price is. So now there's no longer a discrepancy between Patreon and Coffee. If you want to get a ad space, if you want to get priority Q&A, if you want a guest spot, you can do it through Coffee, you can do it through Patreon. Both work. And we're happy to have you. Now, before you submit your question, please head over to bumbleking.com/BumbleKast and check out the master list of the Q&A to make sure that your question hasn't been answered recently. Because if it has, we're just going to skip it because it's been answered. That's kind of what we do here.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And with that, hey, let's get into the priority Q&A. Starting off with one from none other than Speedweed. So have either of you played Hollow Knight by chance? If not, I highly recommend it. Great Metroidvania. But if so, how do you feel about that Dark Souls-like trope of NPCs giving off dialogue for world building in a depressing bug game like that? And also, what would be your favorite aspect of the game, world, or lore reason included, if you have one? Finally, are you all for the Eldritch Abyss, or the Eldritch Living Gods of the world? That last part is less of an overall Hollow Knight question, more of a very specific Hollow Knight question to satisfy my burning desire to discuss those obscure bits of Hollow Knight lore.
Have you played, Kyle?
No, but I have seen bits and pieces of it, so I'm familiar with what it is. It looks delightful in that sort of like dark way.
It is one of those games that you can hold up and say, this is art.
Yeah. It certainly looks gorgeous.
Oh, it's stunning, from artistic design to the level pacing to the sound design to the music. It's exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
It is humbling because I think it's like a very, very small team that put it together. I played a fair chunk of it, but I couldn't figure out how to actually get to, who was it? The White King? Like the kind of end game. For some reason, I couldn't get it to trigger, and I don't know what I'm missing. And it's really hard, and I'm not good enough to beat it. So I kind of reached a point and was like, you know what? YouTube will fill in the rest for me, because I achieved a few of them, some of the more obscure hard things to do, and there was a degree of satisfaction, but the frustration kind of outweighed it. So, and that's not a knock against the game. The game itself is brutally punishing, but it's fair. You have to play by its rules. And if you can't, well, you can't win. And sorry, that's how games work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you can't play the game, you can't play the game. I'm not going to go out there onto the Major League Baseball field and become a Hall of Famer, I can't play baseball. That does not mean baseball itself is a broken system. So I'm kind of commenting on some complaints I've seen in other corners of the internet going, it's not fair. It's broken. The controls are not responsive. It's like, yes, it is. You have to learn the cadence of it. You have to learn the timing and the windows, but it's accurate. It's just really, really precise. And, it's brutally punishing.
That sounds like a Metroidvania to me.
Yeah. I'm very super rusty on the lore, but I really did enjoy how they told the story, and as frustrating as it can be to not get all the details or a crystal clear picture of the narrative, it is kind of neat that you don't necessarily get all the details or you have to make connections yourself, because to me that gives you the sense of this is a world that has moved on. There was a kingdom that was grand, there was things that had happened in the past, but they're gone now. All that you see are relics and remnants and like the decaying afterthoughts of what was once a great society. And not everything's going to survive that. And I think that kind of lends itself to the bleak and kind of desolation that the game is built around. There's a kind of sadness built into it because there was more here. There's a greater story. There was grandeur to behold at one point, and it's gone. And that's just really cool in the way that they portray that. And there are moments where you can choose whether or not to, go a bleaker route or, do something a little more wholesome. And it doesn't take itself too seriously because there are some laugh out loud moments. And I don't know, it's really, really well put together, and I like it a lot. There's a segment where, and this is going to be a bit spoilery, but the game's been out for how many years now?
It's been out for a little while, yeah.
There's a segment where you descend deeper than it feels like you ought to. And you get the implication that there is a darkness down there that should not have been meddled with. And it's creepy. It really does kind of encapsulate that feeling of an essence that isn't necessarily malevolent so much as it is ancient and just something beyond your kin. This is not something that can be defeated. This is not something that can be rationalized or controlled. It is a force of nature. And part of the problem is somebody at some point thought, oh yeah, we can handle this. No. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that appeals to me with the basic concept of your eldritch horrors is that these are not demons or monsters or things to be bartered with. There's no Faustian deals. There's no clever chess game with death. These aren't even like Godzilla kaiju that can potentially be hit with freeze beams or nukes. These are just primordial essences that will move forward, and you're just in the way. You don't do anything but be affected by it, and that powerlessness in the face of unyielding nature, dark or otherwise, appeals to me in a narrative way.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's good, and it hits on some neat concepts, and yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It does sound like fun.
I'm really looking forward to Silksong, even though I know it's going to kick my ass.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out because, I mean, it's probably sitting in my unplayed list. You know how it goes. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I picked it up at some point somewhere.
I would say that even though you've seen bits and pieces, I would go into it as blind as possible if you haven't played yet.
I really haven't seen enough to really spoil anything, I would say, so.
Good. So you and anybody who's listening who hasn't jumped on the bandwagon yet, go in as blind as possible, because part of the appeal of the game is just the way that the world unfolds, because more than once, I got past an obstacle, and I'm like, okay, I finished this region. What do you mean there's a whole nother section of the map? Where am I now?
Oh, I'm expecting the map to be pretty huge because
Oh, it's
enormous. It's a Metroidvania. It's they never stop. They keep spreading out forever and ever. It's like, oh man, come on. So many Metroid games and Castlevania games that have just ginormous maps. So yeah, I'll check it out. All right, next question is from Diane W. What were your go-to kids channels to watch your favorite shows on every day? Fox Kids, WB Kids, Cartoon Network, or Nickelodeon? I know this isn't really my place to ask since I'm British. I mostly grew up with the likes of CBBC and CITV. But because I've been watching videos from a YouTuber about the shows that they've grown up with, it got me curious to hear what shows or TV channels people like you grew up on. Thanks.
You know, I never really paid too much attention to the network. I just wanted the shows.
Well, here's my thing, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. I didn't have cable as a kid. So my only options were Kids WB and Fox Kids. I did not have Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or any other kids channels that were around at that time. I just had those two. And that's what I watched was the mid to late 90s. So I remember watching the Spider-Man cartoon on Fox Kids, and I also had the Power Rangers and Beetleborgs on that as well. And then Kids WB was Saturday mornings usually, and that was Animaniacs, and Earthworm Jim was one of them. And what else?
The old 90s X-Men cartoon.
Yeah, that was on Fox Kids too. I kind of fell out of... I think I fell out of cartoons right as the Pokemon craze started, so once the anime started showing up on Kids WB, I wasn't watching it anymore, so I think that makes... Because I'm probably slightly older than a lot of the folks who got into that, a lot of the kids who were into that at the time, so...
I remember I watched the Pokemon anime, the first arc for the most part here, and as best I could, and then they wrapped up the Indigo League, and it's like, now we're going to the Orange Islands, a whole new area. And I'm like, oh wow, a new area, and what do you mean Brock's not coming along? Wait, the format is the exact same. This is like no different than what was before. I think I'm done for now.
I forgot about
when my innocence died that day.
I forgot about Freakazoid. That was one.
Oh yeah, the super dude extraordinaire. Freakazoid,
yes.
Freakazoid. Joe the barber cuts his hair. Freakazoid, Freakazoid.
He runs around in underwear. Freakazoid,
Freakazoid, Freakazoid. He could be on NBC. Freakazoid, Freakazoid. But there's something better on TV. Freakazoid, Freakazoid.
He's here to save the nation, so stay tuned to this station.
If not, we'll be unemployed. Freakazoid, Freakazoid.
Freakazoid! All right. Wow. But then the early 90s, I was watching, oh man, what was Sonic? Sonic's Saturday morning is that technically ABC? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was ABC. So I was watching the ABC Saturday morning for Sonic for Sat AM. I remember that. And then
what was the Mario Brothers Super Show on?
That was gosh, I don't remember. Was that syndicated? Might have been syndicated, but I don't remember. Otherwise I know that Adventures of Sonic was syndicated. And I think Captain N and Mario Super Show, and then Mario 3 and Mario World were all syndicated, I want to say.
I just remember I had a hard time ever finding Sat AM being on.
They were on ABC.
And being mad whenever it was Adventures was on instead. And I wanted it to watch. The only reason I sought out the Mario Super Show was when they would play the Zelda episodes. And it didn't clue in that they only did it, every so often.
Every Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never picked up on that. I was not
That's okay.
Sometimes I can't see the forest for the trees. Kyle.
I didn't know that either, actually, at the time. It wasn't until much later looking into it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how it worked. So, but yes, okay, those were on ABC as well, apparently. Captain N and Mario 3, and probably Mario World also. But I remember them being syndicated, probably just because, I don't know, a lot of TV networks at the time were showing cartoons in the afternoons just to fill time. Like, I guess after kids got home from school, and that was before Fox Kids, or at around the same time Fox Kids. They all kind of started their own afternoon blocks, because they also had Disney Afternoon at the time. So,
oh, yeah.
Yep.
Darkwing Duck, Rescue Rangers, all that.
Yeah, Rescue Rangers. DuckTales was early on. DuckTales was actually kind of before my time, ironically enough. But, I mean, I love it now, but at the time, I think it was in reruns at the time at least. But, gosh, when I was watching it, it was Darkwing Duck, it was Goof Troop, it was freaking Quack Pack. Tailspin. I do remember, as a kid, I loved Tailspin. I remember having a Tailspin birthday party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because, I love freaking Tailspin. And also the Rescue
Fantastic intro. I mean, no matter what your opinion on the show is.
Yeah. I haven't watched the show in forever, so I don't know what the thing is like. But yeah, Gargoyles, fantastic.
Aladdin.
Yep, Aladdin at the time. I do remember a little bit of Hercules, even though that was later. It's happened. Gargoyles was legendary. Yeah, that's really it. I was watching all the network cartoons, not cable. So whatever was on cable, I didn't know what was going on cable. I don't know what you weirdos were watching. I was just chilling out on the antenna stations, yo.
It might have been a bit before your time, but I think it was on the old USA network.
Mm-hmm.
And I only caught it a smattering of times. I think it was called like Comic Strip. And it was this eclectic collection of completely different types of cartoons. And one of them was called Tiger Sharks. And it was basically a Subnautica version of Thundercats.
I mean, yeah. Let me see.
And I think I caught like 2 episodes of it. I'm like, oh, wow, this is like Silverhawks and Thundercats. And I could never find it reliably. I don't know if it aired at the same time as other stuff I watched or what, but...
First run syndication in 1987. I was a year old in 1987, so yeah, I never saw it. Never, I don't think I ever saw it. Let's see. Tiger Sharks. Yep. That's very funny. It's Rankin Bass. Good old Rankin Bass. Oh, wow. Sounds ridiculous. Karate Cat? Is that another one?
Yeah.
Karate Cat.
Like, I can't remember anything
amazing.
that was in the lineup. I just remember there was Tiger Sharks and then some Bubsy looking thing. I guess that was Karate Cat.
Karate Cat, yeah. Street Frogs and the Mini Monsters.
Yeah, I don't retain that at all.
I don't remember the Bigfoot cartoon at the time, Dove, but I've gone back to that one, and yeah, it's like terrible, but also fantastic. Bigfoot, the monster truck. Yes, the monster truck Bigfoot. I think that was something that was like, it was a team up show. I think there was one of like the Harlem Globetrotters was on it, and a few other things. It was a very weird show. It's like an amalgamation of random licenses they just put together, probably to sell toys. Oh man, so much stuff before my time too. But it's fun. It's fun. I loved cartoons. I still love cartoons. They're great. Well, are we ready to get into the next question here from Scruffy Matt?
We certainly are.
All right, let's do it to it. Hey, fellas, a sort of follow-up to my question from last week. If we were to get a new fighting game starring Sega characters, would you prefer something along the lines of Smash Brothers or some sort of crossover game? Sega versus Capcom, perhaps? Just imagine a game version of Worlds Unite. A video game based on a comic based on a video game.
I'm inclined to say Smash Brothers because I'm not a big fan of your traditional 2D fighters. I like to watch them in action, but I can't play them. I mean, the last one I actively tried to do was Dragon Ball Fighters Z, Fighters, however you pronounce it, because it looked like it was fairly simple. You know, one of those things where it's easy to learn, difficult to manage. So I figure, okay, fine. You know, if it's simple enough, I can put it together. But that half circle, fierce back punch, whatever, I can't do it. I can't do those inputs reliably. And it's frustrating, and it kills any desire to play. And that's all on me, specifically.
Yeah. I'm definitely the button masher type for those games more often than not. I've never really knuckled down to really, sit there and learn specific moves. I love fighting games, watching them and just the way they look and the character designs and there's so much cool stuff to love about fighting games, but playing them is like, I don't know. There's a very certain level of dedication I think it takes to really master a fighting game that I don't have the patience for.
Right now I'm on a bit of a Guilty Gear kick because the new game came out, and I love the design sense of that game. It is just rule of cool.
Yeah. In
the purest sense, and there's no way I'm going to try to pick it up. I will watch it from afar and appreciate it that way, but yeah, I am not going to play.
I love Guilty Gear. For the same reasons, the character designs and the world and the lore and everything about it. The music, the soundtrack, that's video game music right there. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you hadn't brought up the music, I would check your temperature. Are you feeling all right? Where's the real Kyle?
That's the stuff right there. Just inject that metal directly into my veins. Yes. Give me them Daisuke Ishiwatari guitars, please. Please. It really does have, there's a lot of, sound crossover between some Sonic and Guilty Gear music. You could probably do some Sonic style music and it would be nice. So,
but with Smash Brothers, even if I go up against somebody who knows what they're doing and they just wipe the floor with me, I feel like I at least have a chance. Unless they're maining Ness, that's just cheap and they're punks and they can get off my internet. But in general, I feel like, you can at least have fun with it regardless.
Right.
You don't have to learn all these combos or these chains of sequences that you have to input at the right time in the right scenario. That sounds like work to me. So I would want to see a Sega fighter like that just because that would be what's accessible to me.
Sure. Yeah. Personally, I think that a Sega crossover game, the perfect genre for it, they've already done it twice. And that's the racing, All-Stars Racing series. Because to me, more than anything, Sega is the racing game company. So, of course, they have, legendary fighting games too with Virtua Fighter and Fighting Vipers and stuff like that. But racing is like Sega's bread and butter, It's big. It's their big thing. So I think if you're going to do like Sega crossovers, they should be racing games more than fighting games. Because, I don't know, it just seems to fit more in line with what Sega is to me. So I think that's what I kind of liked about the second All-Stars Racing game was that it was kind of the Smash Brothers version, Sega Smash Brothers, but it was a racing game instead of a fighting game. So, but a crossover, I'm definitely not going to turn down a crossover fighting game. But I think a racing game. I think it's different. It's different. It's something different too. It's not just another fighter Smash Brothers clone or anything. So, I don't know. That's just what I Those are my thoughts on it anyway. It just seems like that fits overall more with the style of Sega. All right, our next question is from none other than Scurvy Pirate Hog. As we have seen in the preview for the 30th special, Classic Sonic has finally learned how to talk. How did that process go? Did Classic Tales struggle teaching Classic Sonic to speak actual words?
So when I pitched it, I pitched it as a silent book because, Many Adventures was silent, and Classic Sonic has been silent in his 2 appearances. And the note came back, no, everyone talks. We don't want to confuse people and make them think that Classic Sonic can't speak. So, everyone speaks.
Okay. Can he talk? Can he talk in the games now? Maybe someday. Silent book would have been more fun, but oh well. Next question is from Fiona M. Hey, are Gerald Robotnik, Maria, and Eggman Nega still related to Eggman? Are the family members of certain characters that are mentioned but never seen allowed to be used in the comic, such as Jet's father, Zomom's mother, and the Commander's grandfather? Are these characters even canon? If you don't know, can you please get back to me in the next podcast?
The various egg people, yeah, they're still related to Eggman. As for other relations, I don't know. Jet's father might have the best case for being referenced, but I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. Zamom's mother, I think, is more of a throwaway gag, but it's the type of thing I would mine. So that might be something to follow up on, but don't hold your breath. As for the Commander's grandfather, the Commander's already got to be pushing into his 60s or 70s. I don't think his grandfather would be with us anymore. If he was, he'd be ancient. But I don't feel like anyone's really clamoring for that particular character to be realized. So, no, I don't think we'll be seeing that.
Alrighty. Next question is from Andrew D. Time to get serious for a moment with a thought that's been plaguing my mind for the past week. Why do you guys think people love villains in fiction but not in real life? What is it about them that people attach themselves to, whether it's Eggman, Frieza, the Joker, or Darth Vader? They share many similarities with real-world villains like dictators and serial killers, yet people still seem to love them. That begs the question, would Fantasy Hitler or Fantasy Ted Bundy be beloved characters? If not, would they be if they were given entertaining personalities? Sure, the characters aren't real, but then people get upset over other fictional things like NSFW images of underage characters. Is there a line we draw due to societal pressures? There's a sort of gut feeling where we're like, this crosses the line, or this is acceptable. But I can't seem to pinpoint where that line is and why it's there. Thoughts?
That's like a whole college course.
I mean, yeah, and it's also, I feel like the line is deeply personal.
Yeah.
To you.
Like, there will be people out there who just cannot stand the Joker and do not understand why anyone would find his character remotely appealing.
Mm-hmm.
And others who see absolutely nothing wrong with it because he's a fictional character and all that he does is fantasy. You don't need to get worried about it. I think in general, and we're going to have to go like broad terms because we're kind of approaching going beyond the scope of this podcast, but I feel like the appeal is something cathartic in that you're allowed to revel in your darker tendencies and thoughts as they are given shape and meaning in these villainous characters. You're allowed to laugh along with Joker or, be delighted by Eggman or, look at Rogue One. The scene where Vader goes down the hallway is the highlight of the movie. Everyone loved that moment. He was so freaking badass. He's also murdering people who are screaming in terror in a concentrated effort to enforce a fascist state upon the galaxy. That scene is awful. He is doing horrible things to do more horrible things. but it's still so freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you're allowed to enjoy it because you know it's not real. You're allowed to kind of clap and cheer when these fan platoons of stormtroopers go marching by raising charity money because they're people in costume having fun. Most of these people don't put on the white armor and think, yeah, now I'm a fascist. This actually gives me power. They're doing it because it's fun. It's kind of cool to be in a group like that. And they're raising money for a good cause. When you look at actual real world terrible people, they have done actual real world terrible things. There is no fantasy there. People actually suffered and died and were mutilated and such. And the two examples you bring up specifically, one of the things you have to remember is that those two people were actually incredibly charismatic.
Yes, absolutely.
They didn't achieve what they wanted to because everyone knew they were the villain. They weren't Snidely Whiplash. We weren't going, boo, look out, get off the stage. It was, they were incredibly powerful people on a personal level. And that kind of facilitated all the horrors that they did. That doesn't necessarily mean that, if you saw someone like Joker walking down the street, he would have the same effect. But, you get a degree of that kind of character investigation with Harley, who fell in love with that persona and has since grown out of it. I think when you get down to the crux of your question, I think it's fun to take off your inhibitions and revel in the fantasy for a minute. It's kind of like how I've described with Eggman, is that writing him, I get to be awful in ways that you would never be in real life. And it's kind of fun. But it is within the distinction of, because it's fantasy. We get to laugh at the terrible things and the insulting lines and whatnot because it is within the context of a story. These are not real world events. These are not things to cheer if they actually happen.
Sure. And it's interesting because a lot of the people who we've considered like real life villains were people who could command an audience or who had, hundreds of followers or at least a big following in some fashion or another. And it never really, I don't think at the time it necessarily crosses some people's minds that what they're doing is evil. It's like that meme of, are we the baddies? It's like, well, it doesn't necessarily trigger something in everyone's head at that time because they command these people. They've commanded such rapt attention that you kind of get, your vision can kind of get clouded, depending on who you are. So, and yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy though of real world monsters, real world villains versus fictional ones. This is a very deep question. I feel like we could do a whole episode about, but we don't have time for that.
I feel like, to use an analogy that may work or not, but fictional villains versus real world villainy is like fireworks. Mm-hmm. Everyone goes outside to have explosive launched over their heads and watch the blinding lights, and they cheer. Because fireworks are safe. They're pretty. You know that they're in a controlled environment. You are there for the experience without any of the danger, conceivably. If you mishandle fireworks, they're going to be, bad news. But that's really what it is you're launching explosives around people. And it's wildly different when they are, mortar shells or grenades or things meant to harm people.
Right.
So it's all in the matter of the consumption, I suppose.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. All right, let's get on to this next question here from Off. Based on what you explained about Shadow in the last BumbleKast in regards to his motivations and what sets him apart from being a villain, you said he focuses aggression against baddies and doesn't go out of his way to antagonize heroes looking for a good fight. That said, what would happen if there were no villains left? If there ever came a time when there was no world-ending threats to focus his anger towards, what then? Would he then become the villain in his never-ending quest to prove himself as the ultimate life form?
I don't know. In part because I honestly don't know if Sega has thought that far with the character or what his motivation could be. If we were talking like '06 era Shadow, pre-reboot stuff, I think it would just be peace, that he would kind of retire out to the boonies and just enjoy the seclusion and the tranquility. His mission is done. And he'll be ever vigilant, but he's done. Kind of that lone Ronin type of thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
In his current incarnation, I honestly can't even begin to speculate.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this one from the chat we got here. He would open a pizza shop and call it the ultimate slice form. Like it. I like it. I appreciate that.
Hell's on control.
Yes.
Where's that damn fourth pizza order?
Now I want pizza.
It's like stealing a coupon from a baby, which is something I would totally do.
Yeah. Now I want pizza. Now the whole chat seems to want pizza. See what we've done? Next question is from D Gamma. Dear both of you, do you consider yourselves based or cringe?
Oh, I'm hyper cringe.
I mean, absolutely cringe. 110% cringe. Of course. I wouldn't be anything else. I don't even know what I'm based on. Like what is, I still don't understand based. Like what is it based on? Everyone says things are based, and like what based on what? Tell me. Somebody tell me. I can't figure it out.
Now,
that's how cringe I am.
The important thing is, there are listeners and supporters and fans who think we're based. And as long as their perception lasts, that's fine.
Maybe someone could tell us what we're based on, and that will help alleviate my questions, because I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I mean, my wife started the cringe queendom for her 6th grade science class this year. So yeah, we're both very cringe. And she likes to share cringe links for the kids. They also enjoy the cringe. Some of them complain, but we know deep down they actually like it. And others love it and want more. Kids are weird. And finally, our last priority question this week comes to us courtesy of Noni. To Ian. Hey, what would happen if you roboticized a Zetti?
I think you just would roboticize a Zetti. If they had an understanding what the process was, they might be able to resist it with their electromagnetic powers. But if they didn't know what was going on or were unconscious or whatever, they'd be a robot. Noni has a question for you, Kyle.
Uh-oh. What's going on here?
Any good remixes you'd suggest? I'm looking for more music for my drawing playlist.
All right. Well, when I asked for a little bit more detail on this one, because I was wondering what kind of music they were into, I got like every genre under the sun. So, first of all, this is a good chance to go plug my website, the KNGI Network, kngi.org. You can head on over there and listen to my other show, Nitro Game Injection. That is a video game music show where I play a whole bunch of video game music remixes, arrangements, and covers, and all sorts of other cool stuff that you can listen to. So I pretty much enjoy pretty much everything I play on there, because it would be kind of silly if I didn't. So, otherwise, there's the 24/7 live stream that you can tune into at any time, and that's always playing some awesome video game music remixes. You can turn it on whether you're driving around or drawing or any sort of stuff like that. Just turn it on and it'll just play for you. Otherwise, the thing I really came up with was like, if you wanted something on in the background that wasn't distracting. There's a series of albums called Prescription for Sleep, and they're mainly intended, of course, to be kind of lullaby style arrangements done for piano. They're arranged and performed by Gentle Love and Maiko, I believe. And there are a ton of albums, and these are all on, if you go to scarletmoonrecords.bandcamp.com, there are 12 Prescription for Sleep albums, I believe. So the newest one is for Stardew Valley. They've also got albums for Shovel Knight and Celeste, and some just like general video game music from varieties of games. RPG battle themes was a good one. Undertale, and a lot of other ones to check out. So if you're looking for something that's good background music, I'd recommend those for sure. All right, and with that, I think we're ready to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more BumbleKast.
Welcome back. Let's get to the standard Q&A.
All right, here we go. We're hitting hard and fast with Tick Tick. Recently, we found out about something that Batman cannot do, which has caused a bit of a stir online because heroes don't do that. Ian and Kyle, if you'd like, consider the major adult characters of your various works. Would you consider them selfish lovers? I had to bump this one up.
I mean, I understand the outrage. And you know what? If, you and your partner don't want to do that, that's cool. It's good to understand what is acceptable between the two of you or more. I don't know how y'all swing. But at the same time, you need to give as good as you can get. You know? Mm-hmm. Don't say, I'm not going to go that far, but expect more from the other. You need to reciprocate. Come on now. So, I would like to think, I don't know if I should even go here since I work on mostly licensed books with
I don't know,
potentially age problematic characters. So maybe I'm just going to sidestep this question directly. But in general, gentlemen, get to work.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
what
like
that one musical artist said, a king doesn't do that. It's like the king serves his people. Get to work.
Or it's like what Robin Williams said in one of his early stand-up specials. Pack a lunch, stay for the day.
I will say that the DC animation Twitter response to the hullabaloo was hilarious.
I didn't see that, I don't think.
It was a clip from Under the Red Hood where, in context, the scene is Batman explaining why he never kills. But out of context, the line of, if I go down there, if I go to that place, I'm never coming back.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. The best thing about this is that when season 3 drops, there's definitely going to be a reference to this somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. They're going to capitalize on this, and it's going to be amazing. Because the Harley Quinn show, it's absolutely ripe for this kind of stuff. So
like they would have saved themselves a headache allowing it to happen.
Exactly. They don't seem to realize that. So,
but in general, yes, heroes do that. They serve the greater good.
Absolutely. Villains are more questionable. Here's a question from Skull X Cake. Will we ever see Dr. Eggman and Dr. Starline teaming up again in the future, or are they done for good?
I'm not going to spoil anything. Sorry.
That seems like a possible yes or no question.
Well,
A
yeah, but
possible
if I
yes or
say
no
no,
answer.
that kind of spoils things. It's, if
po-
I say yes, that spoils things. So I'm not going to say anything.
A possible yes or no answer. Da-da-da. Here's a question from Breezy. Are you fans of Knights in any capacity? There was a brief run of a Knights comic back in ye old Archie days. Do you think if Sega gave the order, you guys would try your hand at it? Or any Sega series for that matter, like Billy Hatcher or Space Channel 5? A handful showed up in Worlds Unite, and I think they have comic potential.
Um,
I think
I have a
most all of them have comic potential.
I have a passing understanding of Knights.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that I'm like well versed in it. I know exactly how I would cross it over with Sonic, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, the various properties have potential. It just depends on how you're going to tell the story. Like you would approach a Knight story very differently from an Alex Kidd story or a Golden Axe story.
Sure.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
I would be all over Golden Axe story, honestly.
Big fantasy, high fantasy style stuff. Yeah, that would be fun.
Oh, I would go straight up old school Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan style.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go 80s as hell on that.
Yeah.
And I want to write something Skies of Arcadia related so bad it causes me physical pain. So
Yeah.
we've covered this.
We know that.
Heaven help me, I would do a Vector Man game story. So,
Yeah.
I'm game. I'm game.
I love Knights. I'm not well versed in the lore necessarily, but the game is fantastic. It's super fun. It's really quick. you can beat it in one sitting. It's only like maybe an hour long game. It's very much a Sega arcade game, but it's just at home. So it's a bit of a quick experience, but it's really just, I don't know, the whole thing's kind of fascinating. The world of dreams and sort of the underlying story of the main characters and living their dreams and overcoming like their fears or their anxieties and stuff like that. It's actually a very relevant story even today. So probably more relevant than ever since we're more open to talking about certain, mental health things. And that's what the game is essentially. That's the main theme of the game, really. And I think that's really that really makes it more fascinating when you look into it at that on that level. So, and also just has a really cool style, and of course the music is fantastic, and it's just Sega through and through. Like, yeah, that's a Sega game right there. So love it. Here's a question from PC the Unicorn. So I know the scene where Evan had Rouge and Amy be terrified of Vanilla due to Cream telling her all about the adventure in issue 36 was more so played for laughs, but it did make me wonder something. What's the rule in regards to Vanilla fighting? Like, did Sega state that she isn't allowed to get involved in the action at all? I'm fine with how she is, but it is funny to consider that Vanilla is secretly insanely tough but chooses to be a pacifist. After all, Cream must have inherited her fighting prowess and awesomeness from someone.
I may be making this up, so grain of salt, but I'm pretty sure it's been specified that Vanilla is strictly a civilian, that she is not a fighter in any capacity.
Oh man, she doesn't have a secret history of being like a spy or a veteran of war or anything like that. She's not like Mrs. Beakley in the new DuckTales.
I mean, that would be fun to be sure, but I'm pretty sure she's meant to be just a mom, which is fine. Not every character has to be a badass, but
you're saying moms aren't badass?
You know what I mean.
Get out of here. Get out of here with that.
Different kind of badass.
Okay. Man. I don't know. Maybe you should try and sneak some of that in there, Sneak a little bit of extra Vanilla lore in there. her secret past. Be interesting.
So you're saying you want a story about super spy Vanilla who goes in behind enemy lines to rescue one of her own just so we can title it Vanilla Extract?
Yes. I am saying that, absolutely.
Gotcha. Understood.
Yeah, yes. Do it. I think you need to do it. Now that you've come up with the title, now it has to happen. All right. Here's a question from Awesome Cakester. If you could see or be involved in another side story for IDW Sonic on characters that aren't Sonic, who would you like to see? The Chaotix, Rouge, Cream Cheese, Chocola, and Vanilla?
I think a Blaze book would be nice.
Oh, yes.
Like, explore her world, expand her extended cast, make her the star of her own thing. Same with Silver, let's see the Blue Sky future. Let's see A Time of Peace, and what does he do in his own time. Of course, I'd also like to see a Knuckles book, have him explore the island. Let's get into the mysteries of stuff. A Chaotix book would be fun.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I could do that one because they're detectives, and you would need detective stories that fit into fairly short, bite-sized stuff. And I'm not really good at that style of storytelling, so somebody else would have to pick that one up.
A Rouge treasure hunting spy book. Actually, that could be a good Knuckles and Rouge just side story. That'd be kind of fun.
Maybe. I don't know if Rouge could carry a book by herself, but a Team Dark book would be kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Because each one of them would kind of fill in a weakness that the other character has in terms of narrative weight carrying.
Sure. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not all of these? A cream book? Sure. We'll figure it out. That may be how you expose Vanilla's past. It's like, uh-oh, now we know. There's a question from Pentagon. Can people use the Chaos Force to prolong their lifespan and slow down their aging process? Much like how Ki and Nen from Dragon Ball and Hunter x Hunter, where they use their respective power system to prolong their life?
Yeah, that was established pre-reboot. That's why the Brotherhood was still around. They used the Chaos Force to extend their lifespans.
The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants?
No, the Brotherhood of voyeuristic grandpas. They really monitor the situation. They screen all the threats the world over.
Ew. Gross. Disgusting.
They have a real can-do attitude.
Oh, boy. The Brotherhood of Enchiladas. Yeah, I like that one, too. That's a good
They're
one.
Knuckles' only fans.
Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no. Oh. Wow.
God,
Wow.
if you strike me down for that, I understand.
You went there. Wow. Oh, this is amazing. Oh no. Now you've attracted the attention of Aaliyah. Oh no.
At least I entertain myself.
Yes. Is she confused? Is she
She's on the phone with someone
on
and
the
came
phone?
across the room to make sure I wasn't dying.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
Let's see what the chat thought of that. Oh.
Oh boy, the chat loves it and hates it.
Oh man.
They both love and hate us today, as usual, but especially today. This
Lord.
is a spicy meatball.
Anyway.
Let's move on to this next question here from T-Cause. After learning that Jun Kun was one of the cons, which turned out to be people Robotnik experimented on, like Monkey Con, does this mean the Iron King is a cyborg? If so, how different are his cybernetics compared to Ken's? Also, you know what's funny? It's funny about this question. If you don't know anything about like Archie, Sonic, it's really just kind of word salad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what is this? How is this related to Sonic at all? I recognize the name Robotnik, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we're not going to put any context to it because it's more fun that way.
I know.
Yes, he was a cyborg, or at least that was the plan. The only difference being that his cybernetic enhancements resulted in different superpowers compared to Kin.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is more Lost Hedgehog Tales thing, but it's small enough that it's eh.
I mean, obviously, I put that info out there because they're asking about it. I don't
Right.
remember when, but it's there.
Right. All right, and here's a question from Godzilla. Since Tails doesn't seem like the type to keep a bunch of spare ammo lying around his network of workshops, where does Omega go to restock and resupply? Does he just scavenge from the various egg bases he raids? Or does he have his own private arms dealer that he goes to? Or does Rouge just import them from Earth via warpering?
I would say it's probably all the above type scenario. A lot of his weaponry is laser based, which might just be fueled by his pure rage.
I was going to say, yeah, a lot of his, it seems like he's just, he doesn't need to necessarily restock. It's always there.
But yeah, I also have this kind of back of the head idea that part of his inner workings are just ammunition manufacturing. So as he's just walking around, he's absorbing nutrients from the ground around him. He like breaks down rocks as he passes by and turns them into various forms of projectile or incendiary object.
Wow. That's kind of amazing. That's, yeah, wow.
That is 100% fanon, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. Maybe he just goes to Walmart. Yeah. All right, and we're here for my last questions. Our last questions from Dove. To Ian, if Sega tapped you to create a video game and gave you absolute freedom, use any Sega IP, no restrictions, or make your own, what kind of game would you make?
As Ricadio. Sequel, prequel, something. Just, it would be all mine.
Or if it was your own IP, would you do a Dragoon game?
You say that like I don't already have multiple game style documents on the go.
I figured.
We're talking Sega. Like, if I've got my own IP ideas, but nobody cares about that right now. We're talking Sega. Mm-hmm. I would love to see a Colors Generations Unleashed styled Sonic game again, properly. Not this kind of middle of the road Forces thing. Not whatever the next game is. Just, I feel like those games got Sonic in 3D right. You've got your blistering fast rail sections with twitch input and a few variable routes as long as you're paying attention. But it's all about the spectacle and the sensation of the speed. And then you break them up with your 2.5D platforming sections and your gimmicks just to do a little bit of something in between, have a little bit more gameplay, and then go back to the fast sections where you're sidestepping enemy bosses and tricking them into walls and then pulling off crazy stunts as giant things jump at you from behind. Maybe not necessarily the QTE things from Unleashed where you hit a wall and you got to put in 3 button prompts just to jump to another wall. That wasn't as much fun. But like the boss chases in Unleashed were just so freaking cool. Those, to me, that's what quintessential modern Sonic should be. That said, I wouldn't mind taking another crack at the Lost World engine and style of gameplay, because I think that could work too. It was a very interesting style of 3D Sonic gameplay. It's just Lost World was a tech demo.
Sure,
It wasn't really a game. It was lost potential, and I feel like if you made a proper game out of it, it could be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, just a sequel to Rise Star.
Yeah, I'm really just kind of... That feels like a missed opportunity right now.
Like, expand upon what's there. Keep the core mechanics the same. Keep it 2D.
Mm-hmm.
A platforming with, long reach gimmick. The treasures that you find can be used to cash in for upgrades, so a little more health, maybe a new pair of gloves that allows you to hold on to hazardous objects, shoes that increase your movement speed. And like I've put too much thought into this. Bring back the kind of bunny-styled star character, the prototype design. Name it Luna. Luna has a shorter reach, but a much higher jump and movement speed. So that's kind of your new game plus. Play it with slightly different mechanics. You introduce a meteor-styled rival character because the bad guys are a meteor swarm this time. And he's kind of like Rocket Knight, where it's the same general mechanic of launching yourself across the stage, but instead of reaching, his is all about charging up and getting the right angle off of it. And, go to the different worlds with your, small puzzles and gimmicks per region. Maybe have Greedy come back just because the game series isn't old enough for him to be tired yet, but maybe not. I don't know. Mix it up a bit and, just give me all the money. Let me produce this game. Come on.
Yes.
But yeah, Skies of Arcadia 2 of some kind, or prequel, or reimagining, or something. God, I want to play in that universe so freaking bad.
That would be awesome.
Shoot, I had a kind of napkin pitch for Altered Beast. Basically, just crib the old school God of War style gameplay.
Yeah, do some, like a platinum game. That would work really well.
You're focusing as the Centurion, beating up dudes, picking up fallen weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You build up your meter so you can transform. Do you pop it immediately so you can get through this crowd? Do you wait because there's a larger monster coming along? Do you try to speed run it, or do you hold on to it? You unlock different monster forms as you go along that can do different type of environmental damage to unlock different pathways, or are maybe better against different bosses. Carry it over into a new game plus so you can just run train on the whole game. Fixed camera so you can really focus on the big spectacle of it and all the like Ray Harryhausen styled over the top settings and cinematography. Do it. I mean, come on.
It's just kind of leaving stuff on the table, man. That's what they're doing these days. It seems like just gotta crank out more Sonic, gotta crank out more Football Manager, and I don't know, throw out a Yakuza every once in a while.
Oh, and Sonic R2.
The Total War games. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we've mentioned that before. Sonic R2 would be fantastic. Put them on their feet. Put them on their feet.
Like, dial it back. Don't try to include the platforming, because that you're either a racing game or you're a platforming game. Like, even talking about boost-styled Sonic, that's got racing game elements in the straightaways, but that's all you're doing is the speed and the handling. When you get to the platforming, that's all you're doing is the platforming. So if you're going to do a Sonic R2, don't do the platforming.
Yeah.
Or
you could just do another Riders game.
I'd rather have an R2.
But yeah. I mean, me too, but I'm just thinking of like ideas of things that would be cool to see. But yeah, Sonic R2 would be more fun. It would be cool.
Anyway,
be cool to see.
Dev has a question for you, Kyle.
Oh boy, hit me.
Speed Racer, the 2006 film.
2008.
Good fantasy racing film or best fantasy racing film?
I'm going to disappoint you, Dove. I've never seen it. I want to change.
I haven't either.
I want to change that. I have heard that it is severely underrated and more. It's like it looks beautiful. It looks fantastic, but that's all I've seen from like the previews and stuff. It was like, yes, this looks great, but I have not watched it. I need to sit down and watch it. As someone who is a fan of racing movies, which is a genre that is kind of hit and miss overall in terms of movie quality, and also just there's not a whole heck of a lot of them. That's one that I really need to sit down and watch. So I have been Geez, I'm trying to think of like the only fantasy racing film I've seen. Like, okay, I guess I've seen more than one. Cannonball Run is a classic. It's a terrible movie, but it's it's just fun. It's just entertaining. Cars is some people are like they're very burnt out on Cars. The follow-up movies where I know they got less than stellar. They were less than stellar, but I like the original Cars well enough. As someone who is a fan and enjoys what they were kind of riffing off of in that one, I appreciated it. But other than that, Fast and the Furious is gone well beyond being a racing franchise at this point. The first movie, yes, but I guess the first 3 or 4 movies were kind of that style, but then past that, they just turned into heist movies and superhero movies with cars, which is all good with me. I'll take it, but yeah. I'm thinking of fantasy racing movies. So Days of Thunder is not a fantasy racing movie, but personally, it's kind of one of my favorites. It's also, it's a dated movie. It doesn't necessarily hold up too well, but it's fun. And I really do feel like Days of Thunder was a lot of inspiration for Daytona USA, because the crew chief voiceovers in Daytona USA, some of those are almost nearly direct quotes from Days of Thunder. So I'm kind of wondering if there was a little bit of crossover there. So it's like somebody in Japan got a hold of a copy of Tom Cruise's Days of Thunder, and now we have Daytona USA. So, yes, Top Gun on a racetrack. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's Top Gun and Days of Thunder, pretty much the same movie, same plot, just a different setting. So, anyway, that's it. I need to watch it. It's on my list of things to watch. I have watched many. There's a lot of racing movies that I have not watched yet, so that's one of them. But I will. Maybe I'll go do it right now, because we're at the end of this episode of the BumbleKast.
We are, but before you go, we need to send a big thank you to all the people who make this show possible.
All the
that make these people, all these people who make this show possible.
Ah, yes.
Okay. Big thank you to Daniel H., Alex B., James K., John B., Jennifer R., Samuel P., Robotnik Home, Sam Cybercat, Mike B., Justin G., Torchbound, Coupling, Crew 128, Dois Dizdin, Diane W., Andrew D., Scruffy Matt, Chris A., Sony, John M., Bradley TT, Dawn M., Yami, Salute Your Cat, Sin Fritz, Lee H.K., Lisa M., Chevelle, Noni, Silly String Off, Dave M., Blue Title Gamer, J. Frost, Justin S., Pab, Stick Dick, Final Neil, Jib, Dagama F, Wow, Hero of Light 13, Jonathan D, Rachel W, Godzilla, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Piggy Bank, Daniel B, PC the Unicorn Dabbler, The Dalek, Ryan D, Preston M, Dove, Speedweed, Red the Supernamic, Jonathan W, Owen B D, Flixie, Chase L, Fernando G, Sapphire Scarletta, Turbo, Jonathan R, Crooker, Chad, Les, Fionan M, Lewis J, Renard Pixel, Creative Name, and Scurvy Pirate Hog.
There's so many new names in there, and it's like you can't just rattle off the same old names you're used to. There's just so many new people showing up. It's awesome.
I was thinking I was making pretty good headway. It's like, no, you haven't even broken a third, son.
Yeah.
Come up for air.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's great. I love it. Thank you all for supporting us. It's very much appreciated, and it's fun to hang out with you guys. You guys are awesome. So, all right, Ian, where can the people find you online?
Follow me on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC, and check out my personal website, BumbleKing.com, which has links to all the important information about me. Kyle, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at KyleJCRB. You can also head on over to KNGI.org. That's where you can find my other show, Nitro Game Injection. Streams live on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's all about video game music. And you can also find the archived episodes of the BumbleKast over there in MP3 downloadable format for your listening pleasure.
Follow the show on Twitter at BumbleKast, contact us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, our YouTube channel, and kngi.org.
Don't forget to also check out the Bumble Store, shop.spreadshirt.com/Bumble Store. We have many Bumble items and Bumble accessories. So head on over there and, I don't know, get you a hat that says BumbleKast on it, or a mug that says BumbleKast on it, or a face mask that says BumbleKast on it, or anything, really. Head on over there and check it out.
And catch BumbleKast Gaming live streaming on YouTube. That's youtube.com/BumbleKing videos, Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That is somewhat subject to change, so keep an eye on our Twitter to see if we've had to cancel or reschedule.
Yes. And be sure to hit that backsplash on that BumbleKast. Hit the backsplash.
That's going to wrap us up for this episode of the BumbleKast. We'll see you Wednesday for another patron-sponsored episode, and then we'll see you next week for more Q&A. Have a good one, everybody.
Dove is requesting a Q&A about TNA. Tails and Amy. Oh, okay. Weird, but okay. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
It's like if you get a bad result in Sonic Unleashed.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I didn't play enough of Sonic Unleashed, I guess.
You know what I'm referencing, right?
No.
Oh, Kyle. Okay, you need to look this up later. It's hilarious. You know, it's the whole soundtrack is like big, sweeping orchestral stuff.
Right, yeah.
And when you finish the stage, depending on your rank, you get a different rendition of the main theme. If you do like S to A, it's like the full orchestra. Da, 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 da. But if you get like D to E, they're all playing off key and out of sync. It's hilarious.
That is actually pretty awesome. It's very clever. I like it.
Like trumpets are bleating out of time with one another. It's fantastic.
Well, as long as it's not as obnoxious as the fight music when you're in werehog form.
It's a fun track. It's just
I don't need to hear the first few seconds of it every few moments. Yeah, no, come on. We can do better than that. All right, let's go back. Let's get back. We're dead. We're off break now.